size of this country. That's the potential of this country. We also live in a country where 85% of the adult population is unbanked. Imagine the potential of a fintech in a country like this, where 100 million unbanked people could begin to use financial instruments. We're not talking about a unicorn, we're talking about a decacorn here, a company that will be worth 10 to 20 billion dollars when that happens. We live in a country where just out of school children are 27 million, more than the entire enrollment in many countries in the world of schools. Imagine the potential of an edtech in a country like Pakistan. We live in a country where despite producing 75,000 IT graduates year on year, only a few thousand can be immediately employed by the IT. What can we do to fix that? What can we do to upskill our IT graduates so that they become globally competitive in this globally competitive market? And we just started to work with the Higher Education Commission, I don't know whether it's been here or not, with the National Vocational Training Commission, NAVTAC, which is called, to upskill people with technologies, with skills that are needed by the IT industry. And instead of government bureaucracy imagining this and stating this, we've made the Pakistan Software House Association be the driving force for a lot of our initiatives. We exist to serve the IT industry, not the other way around. So this time around, when we were identifying the skills, the technologies for which our IT graduates need to be trained so that at least 30, 40, 50% of them can become employable and begin to contribute to the IT industry, we went to Pasha. They came out with a list of skills that we need to impart, certifications that people need to acquire to become competitive in this global marketplace of IT workforces. And I'm glad that that program is on its way. We're going to train 16,000 people this year with skills that are aligned with what the industry needs as its bench strength. This is people trained in Salesforce, people trained in SAP, in Oracle Financials, in MERN-Stack, in ERP technologies, in DevOps, and mobile app development, and so on and so forth. These are the kind of technologies that our graduates from universities are really exposed to, and hence are not immediately employed by the IT industry. That's something that we are, inshallah, about to fix. This is not a roadmap of 20 years, this is a roadmap of just 3 years. And I think by adding that workforce to the IT industry, we will substantially enhance their capacity to improve their skills. Likewise, we are redoing the way we give university degrees. We are going to introduce a standardized quality assessment test, but then use that test for mandatory co-op placements in the industry. And it is a two-way dance, where the IT industry has to step up and be willing to absorb students coming out of universities in this co-op program. Many countries have industry co-op programs, including the UK, perhaps Italy, certainly Canada and the US, where certain skills, and IT happens to be one such degree, where classroom education is slightly out of phase with what the industry requires, because the classroom education really teaches you tools and technologies that they even include. And it's therefore important, vital for these students to get exposure to the industry. And we're going to institutionalize that by introducing this co-op program, 6-month co-op program for university graduates before they graduate, preceded by the standardized quality assurance, so that we begin to understand and document the quality of our IT graduates, and then push back to all the degree awarding institutions to improve their quality, so that what comes out of our universities is globally competitive. Pakistan also has a huge potential for domestically focused startups, which could be built here, could grow and scale, and then be replicated in similar countries. It has happened a little bit already with Pakistani startup expanding to the Middle East, to Africa. But we need to really step in and make sure that these startups get the funding and the enabling environment that they need. The State Bank, and it has come up earlier also, has done great work with ROST, with Russian digital accounts, with dollar retention accounts. Some of their policies have been very, very effective in moving things along. At this point, one of the important initiatives of the IT ministry is to start what we call the Pakistan Startup Fund. This, we struggled on how to put this together. We looked at Enterprise Ireland, we looked at Kiosma, we looked at SBIR, SBIC. There are various global models on how governments can step in to incentivize private risk capital, venture capital, to be invested in a Pakistani startup as opposed to a competing territory. So with the Pakistan Startup Fund, we've conceived it such that we could underwrite the risk by about 10 to 30% of an external venture capitalist putting money into Pakistani startups. And imagine the opportunity here. This is a country where in the last 3 years, about $800 million have been invested in Pakistani startups. And some of this is from top-tier Sandhill VCs. These are really world-class venture capitalists who've put money into these startups. And the opportunity is that not a single unicorn has happened yet. So while these startups, of course, have the promise and the ability to attract this funding, there is still an opportunity which is just around the corner for the next round of funding and the next round of funding to come in before they scale to become a unicorn. And we're going to try and enable that by this Pakistan Startup Fund, this new structure that we've set up through which we can incentivize, through which we can catalyze, we can underwrite the risk of venture capitalists abroad to put money into Pakistani startups. One thing that hasn't been highlighted in this report as much as I would have liked to is this very interesting phenomena in Pakistan, what we call online freelancing. So while the enterprise is not scaled in this country because of poor regulatory environments, uncertainty, all of that, but because of the massive volume of talent that we've produced from our universities with young people, these young people didn't wait for us to start big companies, to give them job opportunities. Instead, we found out that they, while sitting in Pakistan, could work remotely on these micro outsourcing tasks through platforms like Fiverr, Upwork, Crosswork, Top Talent, etc. Where if you're a young man or a woman with skills and education, where you can do something substantial for someone sitting abroad, whether that's maintaining their ledger or designing a logo for them or doing a translation or designing a website or making a simple mobile application, people are willing to pay you between $10 to a few $100s a pop for each little task that gets outsourced to you. And these platforms, these online freelancing platforms, have had so many Pakistanis registered and productively working there that Pakistan is now the second largest online